भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देवतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Would somebody like to recollect what we discussed last time?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mata.
Prabhu, I will speak only very short.
Yeah, whatever you can recollect, no problem.
In the verse, in the Anuccheda 29, we were discussing that the Lord's form is Swarupa Bhut, means it is beyond modes and beyond time. So, in continuation with that, in Anuccheda 30 also, it is carrying on, whereby Jiva Goswami is quoting verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 25th chapter, 9th shlok, तथा उत्पत्ति स्थिति लय इत्यादि yadrupam dhruvam akritam. So where it is mentioned that the Lord is dhruvam and akritam, it is means without beginning and without end. So here it is referring to Sankarshan, the form of the Lord Sankarshan.
Yes.
So this was described in by Lord Shiva when he was stating the different rules of different versas. So that time. So now actually in this Anuccheda, it is being established that the form means the Lord is without beginning and without end. So in this shlok, because it is said that the creation and maintenance and dissolution takes place by the am I correct? Because it is taking by the will of the Lord. So because it is taking by the will of the Lord, so Lord is beyond that, right, Prabhu?
Yes.
So then it was, but somewhere we find that Sukadev Goswami in at another place in Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that Lord Sankarshan is the form of tamsi, means tamas rupa. So the question may arise that how the Lord is tamas rupa. We are saying that the Lord is beyond modes. So it is stated that these are discussed to establish the position of Lord Shiva, and also these are related with the varshas which in which the Lord takes the form of passion and ignorance. I mean, tama and rajas. So that kalpas. So in that kalpas, when these are described, actually the real position of the Lord is not established. So Lord Shiva in Skanda Puran we find speaking to Shanmukh Kartikeya that you Vaishnavas should not accept this kind of descriptions where Vishnu is not established as a supreme, and so in that way this doubt is eradicated. Then further after this verse only Sukadeva Goswami is established, is again describing that the Lord is transcendental. And in another, in Padma Puran, in one Patal Khanda, there also it is described that these Puranas are for bewildering the Lord, by bewildering the living beings of the universe. Oh, this much only.
Okay.
Since you asked.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So the 30th Anucheda, the main point is that there are two places in the Bhagavatam where Lord Sankarshan's form is described as Tamasi Murti, 25th chapter, and also in the 17th chapter. Sankarshan's form is described as Tamasi Murti. So how can the form of the Lord be made of related to the Tamoguna? So then we reconciled that actually that Tamasi Murti, the meaning of Tamasi Murti given by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, we discussed Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He mentions that why the Lord is described as Tamasi Murti. One second.
Lord's body is the source of annihilation, which is in Tamoguna, but factually
Yes.
his body is Turiya, beyond the three gunas. It is Shuddha Chinmaya. So
Yes.
it is the source of annihilation that annihilation is in the mode of Tamoguna.
Yes,
so Sankarshan's
exactly.
body is beyond the three gunas, which is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.8.3.
Exactly.
And the four
Tamasi
Kumaras
means
also. Four Kumaras also take lessons from Lord Shankarshan.
yes.
Otherwise, then if that was the case, then if he was in Tamogun, then how is it that he's described as a person having perfect knowledge?
Yes.
Because
Yes, exactly. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Tamasi means Ananta's body, the source of annihilation. That annihilation is in Tamoguna, but he is not in Tamoguna. Thank you, Mata. Yeah, and then we discussed in great detail the many statements in the different Puranas which describe about Krishna's disappearance. How Krishna left behind a mortal body. Krishna's body was cremated by Arjuna. Such descriptions are there. And then there are descriptions which glorify Shiva as the supreme, or Indra as the supreme, or Devi Durga as the supreme. How do we reconcile those statements? We discussed those things in detail. Mataji also succinctly explained why those statements are there. And then those statements come under the category of Parokshavada in order to gradually elevate people in Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Such statements are there. And this Parokshavada is also dear to Krishna. For that also we discussed in the statement from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. So, and also we discussed in the Bhagavatam how Shukadeva Goswami mentions in the incident of Krishna killing Shalva. He mentions that sometimes even the sages forget that Krishna is transcendental and thus cannot become bewildered. Therefore, when such descriptions are found in the Puranas or Itigasas, they should be considered as misleading, hence not accepted as literal. or as descriptive of higher order truth by the Vaishnavas. So these points we discussed, and such descriptions are also there for one purpose, in order to inspire people with a Shushka Vairagya, in order to inspire people with some detachment. If Krishna, who performed such superhuman activities, if he leaves behind a body, according to those descriptions, then what to speak of other living entities? So why should we become so much attached to this body and bodily comforts? So in order to inspire certain Shushka Vairagya, also such descriptions are there. So, and also we discussed the word Kalpa, because Jiva Goswami uses the word Tamasi Kalpa Katha Mayatvat. So normally the word Kalpa refers to the day of Brahma, Padma Kalpa, Shweta Varaha Kalpa, etc. But here the word Kalpa, if we take the day of Brahma, it would not actually make sense. Why it would not make sense, that also we discussed. So the word Kalpa, we have to take alternative meaning. The alternative meaning of the Kalpa is the Shastra. So according to the descriptions given, the Tamasi Kalpa means the Tamasi Shastras and the Puranas in Tamoguna and Rajoguna. According to those descriptions, the different other devatas are glorified as supreme. So therefore, the Kalpa should be taken as the Shastra here. So we'll go to the 31st Anucheda. So 31st Anucheda, the background is that, so in the last two Anuchedas, Jiva Goswami showed that the Bhagavan's body, even when he appears as an avatara in this world, is part of his Swarupa Shakti, is part of his essential nature. And Bhagavan's body is eternal and non-different from him. And this was shown by Jiva Goswami. Now, in this Anucheda, he begins to establish that Bhagavan's body is not limited by time or space. And this is one of the inconceivable attributes of Bhagavan. Generally, according to our experience, any person's body exists in a three-dimensional space and at a particular point in time. Any body is limited by time and space. And there, because it is limited in this world, according to our experience, any body is limited by time and space. So therefore, a body cannot exist in two places simultaneously, because there's a time and space constraints are there. Now, and also the any bodies in this world, it cannot pervade everything. It cannot be all pervading, and it cannot exist in two places simultaneously. But on the other hand, the absolute truth, who is called as Advaya Jnana, the non-dual awareness, non-dual consciousness, he exists everywhere at all times. And but certain philosophers, especially in Advaitavada, they attempt to establish that the absolute cannot be other than unqualified, all-pervading Brahman. Absolute truth has to be the attributeless, unqualified, all-pervading Brahman. So they impose our conventional experience on Bhagavan. So because they impose our conventional experience on Bhagavan, they are not able to grasp the inconceivable character of the Bhagavan's body, and therefore they conclude that Bhagavan's body must be material. So, but Jiva Goswami earlier also he showed that Bhagavan, absolute truth, is never subject to our mundane sense experience, And absolute truth is inconceivable. He cannot be conceived with our logic, with our mind actually. So any proposition that runs contrary to this premise is speculative theory. Because what premise? That the absolute truth is beyond our sensory experience and beyond our mind. So such speculative theories, they are actually the byproducts of the brain of the conditioned souls, and they are bound to collapse. How much ever you may describe those speculative theories with expert word jugglery, but those speculative theories are bound to collapse. So better is that one should accept one's limitation. One should be humble and accept one's limitation, that with my own senses and mind, I cannot conceive Bhagavan. Therefore, let me pay humble oral reception to the acharyas coming in the parampara system. If we don't do that, then simply by speculation, we will be simply wasting so much of effort. So this concept that the absolute truth or the Bhagavan is beyond space and time, because it's a difficult concept, especially for a person, for a conditioned soul who has a deep-rooted conditioning, who has a deep-rooted material conditioning. For him, it is difficult to conceive that how absolute truth can be beyond time and space. So therefore, Jiva Goswami spends a considerable time to establish that how the Bhagavan's body is beyond space and time from all different angles. So he begins this subject in this Anucheda, 31st Anucheda, and he goes till the 42nd Anucheda. So in the 31st Anucheda, the main shloka is the verse from the Damodar Leela, 10th canto, 9th chapter. Vibhutvam aha. Vibhutvam means all pervasiveness. So Vibhutvam, literally it can also mean greatness, because Vibhu means great. Vibhutva means it can mean greatness, it can mean prowess. But here Jiva Goswami is using the word Vibhutva in the sense of being all pervasive. Vibhutva means Sarva Gatatva. So by quoting this verse, he is going to show that how the Bhagavan exists everywhere in his personal form. So what is the shloka he is going to quote? The shloka is going to quote from the Damodar Leela. So we know the Damodar Leela, so I will not tell the background of this Damodar Leela. So when Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna, she decided to bind Krishna so that Krishna would not do any more mischief. So at that time, when she was attempting to bind Krishna, she was unable to bind Krishna. So at that time, these two verses come in the description. So maybe we'll recite this verse. Somebody can repeat after me. Nachantarna bahiryasya
Chandarnamahiriyasya
na purvam napi chaparam
Na purvam napi chaparam
purvaparam bahischantar
purvaparam bahi chantar
jagato yo jagachayah
jagato yo jagakchaya
tammatvatmajam avyaktam
tammatva majam avyaktam
martyalingam madokshajam
martyalingam adokshajam
gopika lukhale damna
gopika lokale damna
babanda prakritam yatha.
babanda prakritam yatha.
So thinking Krishna to be her own son. Tam matva atmajam. Tam atmajam matva. The third line. Atmajam means one's own son. Tam atmajam matva. Thinking Krishna to be her own son. Yashoda, the cowherd woman, Yashoda, Gopika, the word Gopika here refers to the cowherd woman, but it specifically refers to the Yashoda. Yashoda, Babanda, bound him. Bound where? Damna Babanda. Bound him to a mortar with a rope. Damna with a rope. Like an ordinary child. Prakritam yata. Prakritam yata means like an ordinary child. And then, who is this personality actually? Come to the first two lines. Na chantar na bahiryasya. Na purvam napi chaparam. This personality, na chantar na bahiryasya, has neither inside nor outside. Na purvam napi chaparam. He has neither front nor back. And purva param bahis chantar jagato yo jagatchayah. He exists in front of the cosmos, purva, aparam, and he exists behind. And who is both within and without. Bahi and cha antar, who is within and without. And jagato yo jagatchayah, who jagatoya, who indeed is identical with the cosmos, who indeed is himself the cosmos. And avyaktam martyalingam adokshajam. Three words are used. Avyaktam martyalingam adokshajam. And although he is avyaktam, unmanifest, and adokshajam, beyond sense perception, but martyalingam, he had appeared as a human being. Martya means a human being. So we see, essentially this verse says that Mother Yashoda, thinking Krishna to be her own son, bound him to a wooden mortar with a rope, like an ordinary child. And then there are various words which describe that Krishna. Who is this Krishna? Na chantar na bahiryasya. This is the first point. Second is na purvam napi chaparam. Second point. And third is purva param. And fourth point is bahis chantar. And fifth point is jagatoya jagatchayah. And sixth point is avyaktam. And then adokshajam and martyalingam. So these are the different words which describe Krishna. So Sridhar Swami's commentary. Bandhanam hi bahihi paritena damna antaravritasya bhavati. Bandhanam hi bahi paritena damna antara avritasya bhavati. What is the meaning? So tying an object requires encircling that object completely with a rope. That is what, when you want to tie an object, you have to encircle that object completely with a rope. Paritena, bahihi paritena means from all sides. Damna, with the rope, antara avritasya bhavati. But in the case of Krishna, tata purva apara vibhagavato vastunaha purvato dama dritva paritah pariveshtanena bhavati. But in the case of Krishna, it's not possible, because so when you want to tie an object, tying an object can be done only with the objects that have a beginning and an end. Purva apara vibhagavato, which has a purva and apara, which has a beginning and an end. Only those objects, purva apara vibhagavato vastunaha, those vastus which have a beginning and end only such objects, Purvato Damadritva Paritaha Pariveshtanena Bhavati. Only such objects you can bind with a rope. But then, so this can be done only with the objects that have a beginning and end by holding the rope at one end and bringing it around the object to be bound and then binding it to the other end. But natu etad asti iti aha nachantar iti. But here in this case, Krishna does not have a beginning and end. Natu etad asti. So this object, Krishna, he does not have a beginning and end. So in order to explain that, this shloka is mentioned. So kimcha, so to show that this is not possible in the case of the Lord, Shukdev Goswami says that nachantar bagir. He who has neither inside nor outside, neither front nor back, na purvam napi chaparam. And the next point he says, kimcha vyapakena vyapyasya bandha bhavati. Vyapakena vyapyasya bandha bhavati. Moreover, only a tie that extends beyond the length of another object can bind it. Vyapaka. So there are two things, Vyapaka and Vyapya. So Vyapya is the object which you want to bind. Vyapaka is the instrument with which you are going to bind that object. So here in this case, Vyapaka is the rope. Vyapya is Krishna. So normally to bind a Vyapya with the Vyapaka, the Vyapaka's length should be greater than the Vyapya. That is what Vyapakena Vyapyasya bandho bhavati. But tacha atra viparitam iti aha purva param iti. But here in this case, the Vyapaka cannot be, normally Vyapaka has to be higher than Vyapya in order to bind. But in this case, Krishna is the Vyapya. There is nothing in this world which can be beyond the Vyapya, which can be exceeding the Vyapya, that is Krishna. So in this case, it is just the opposite. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami says that Purva Param, he exists in the front and he exists in front of the cosmos and he also exists behind the cosmos. And he exists within the cosmos and without it. Kimcha tad vyatiriktasya cha abhavan na bandha ityaha jagacchayaha iti tam martyalingam madokshajam atmajam matva babandha iti. So furthermore, to show that Krishna cannot be bound, it is said that nothing exists without Krishna. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami says that he himself is indeed the cosmos. Jagat, Jagato yat Jagatchayaha. He himself is indeed the cosmos. But still, so there so many reasons are there for why Krishna cannot be bound. He's inside and outside. He's in the front of the cosmos and behind the cosmos. And he himself is a cosmos. So in these conditions, because Krishna is the Vyapya, we cannot get the Vyapaka which can bind Krishna. But still, Yashoda bound Krishna, Martya Lingam, who, although he appeared as a human being, but is Adokshajam, is beyond the reach of the senses. Beyond the reach of the senses. And thinking Krishna to be Tam Matvatmajam. Atmajam Matva, thinking Krishna to be her son, Yashoda bound Krishna. So then Jagat Chayah iti atra yasya karanasya vyatirekena karyasya jagato vyatireka syaditi tad ananyasya jagatas chat shaktya eva shaktes tad amshamsha rupaya rajva katam bandhasyat. What is the meaning? The statement Jagat Chayah. The statement Jagat Chaya is there in the second line of the shloka. Jagat Chaya means he himself is the cosmos. So this statement means that Krishna is the cause of the cosmos. And without him, the effect, the cosmos cannot exist. Yasya karanasya, Krishna is the karana. And vyatirekena karyasya jagato vyatireka syaditi. Without him, the effect, that is the cosmos, cannot exist. And the cosmos is tad ananyasya, is non-different from him. Tat shaktya eva. And the cosmos is his energy only. So if the cosmos is his energy and the cosmos is non-different from him, then how can it be possible to bind Krishna with a rope which is nothing more than a portion of his energies? If Krishna is the cosmos, he is the cause of the cosmos, and the cosmos cannot exist without Krishna, then how is it Shaktes tad amshamsha rupaya? How can you bind Krishna with a rope which is the amsha of his shaktis? Tad amshamsha rupaya rajva katam bandhasyat. How can you bind Krishna with a rope? So nahi vaknim archisho daheyuriti bhavaha. Nahi vaknim archisho daheyuriti bhavaha. After all, you cannot burn the fire, or the flame can never burn the source of the flame, that is the fire. To say that a rope which is the insignificant portion of Krishna Shaktis, to say that the rope can bind Krishna, it is like saying that flame can burn the fire. How can the flame burn its source fire? So similarly, how can a rope, which is the portion, that amsha of Krishna's energies, how can it bind the source, that is Krishna? So in this way, if we see in the Jiva Goswami has quoted two shlokas. The first shloka gives several reasons why Krishna cannot be bound. Na chantar na bahiryasya, na purvam na chaparam, purvaparam, bahischantar, jagato yo jagatchayah. So the first shloka gives several reasons why Krishna cannot be bound. And then the second shloka explains, but still Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. How could she bind Krishna? And that we will see that. So first Jiva Goswami is explaining the first shloka by elaborating the words and showing that how Krishna cannot be bound. And then so Jiva then now he explains tam martya lingam. From that paragraph onwards, the answer is explained how Krishna could be bound. Tam martya lingam ityadav. So the Tika, the two paragraphs, in that he explained the first shloka, and then he is raising the question how Krishna cannot be bound. How can Krishna be bound? And then he is giving the answer by explaining the second shloka. Tam matvatmajam avyaktam. So tam martyalingam ityadav. Tika kritam ayam abhiprayah. So the import of Sridhar Swami's commentary on the statement tam martyalingam, that means one who has appeared as a human being. Now, what is the tika? Nanu sarvavyapakam katam babanda. One who is all pervading, how can he be bound? Nahi brahmanda golakadikam api kachit badnati. Nahi brahmanda golakadikam api kachit badnati. In fact, nobody can bind even the brahmanda golakadikam, means nobody can bind even the shell of the universe. After all, nobody can bind even the shell of the universe. So to quell such a doubt, Shukdev Goswami answers that he has a human form, Martyalinga. So Tatra Aha Martyalingam Manushya Vigraham. He has assumed a form of a human being. So Tarhi Katam Vyapakatvam. Again, a question is that if he does have a human form, then how can he be all pervading? If he is having a human form, normally any human form in this world, none of the human forms in this world is all pervading. But Krishna's human form is described as Nachantar na bahiryasya na purvam napi chaparam purvaparam bahischantar jagatoya jagache. So Krishna's human form is described as all pervading. So how can the human form be all pervading? This is the next question. In answer to that, Shukdev Goswami says that Tatra aha adokshajam. So therefore he has used the word adokshajam. Although he has a human form, but this human form is beyond the sense perception. So what is the meaning of the adokshajam? What is the vigraha vakya of the adokshajam? Vigraha vakya means the explanatory sentence, explanatory vakya. Adokshajam means Adaha kritam indriyajam jnanam yena. Adaha kritam indriyajam jnanam yena. Tam sarvendriya jnana gocharam pratyakshadi pramanair achintya swarupam iti artaha. This is the explanation of the word adokshajam. What does it mean? It means he is that being in regard to whom knowledge derived from sense perception is rendered useless. Pratyakshadi pramanair achintya swarupam. By the pratyakshadi pramane, pratyaksha and other pramanas, with that we can understand it. Knowledge derived from sense perception, just as he is imperceptible to the in regard to whom knowledge derived from sense perception is rendered useless. That means he is imperceptible to all sensory knowledge. That means indriyajam jnanam yena, sarvendriya jnana gocharam. He cannot be understood the sensory knowledge. And his form is inconceivable, achintya swarupam, by direct perception and other such means. Therefore, although he has a human form, he is certainly all pervading. So the word adokshajam is actually is reconciling. So although he has assumed a martyalingam, that means a manushya vigraham, but still he is all pervading. His all pervading aspect is described in the first shloka. But how can the martyalinga be all pervading? Because he is adokshaja. Because he is adokshaja, therefore he can be all pervading. And next, tasmad tad akaratvepi, tasmat tad akaratve api tasmin vibhutvam asti yeva iti bhavaha. Therefore, although akaratve, although he is having a form, normally any form cannot be all pervading. Any form means just be, it has a limited space, it is bound within a particular space. And if something is all pervading, it cannot be having a form. But in the case of Krishna, akaratve api, although he is having a form, tasmin vibhutvam asti. In that form, there is the vibhutvam. That means there is a all-pervading nature is present in that form. How is it possible? Because he is adokshaja. Because he is having achintya shakti. Vibhutvam asti eva iti bhavaha. So adokshajatvat eva avyaktatvam api. Adokshajatvat eva avyaktatvam api. Vyakyatam iti tan na udrutam. So, by understanding this adokshaja attribute, his imperceptibility to the material senses, which is adokshaja, the word avyakta is automatically explained. When you understand the adokshaja aspect of Krishna, adokshaja aspect means how it cannot be perceived with the senses. If you understand this aspect, the word avyakta is automatically explained, how he is unmanifest. He is unmanifest to the material senses. And therefore, Sridhar Swami is not explaining separately the word avyakta. Because by understanding adyokshaja, you also understand the, you can easily understand the avyakta also. Therefore, avyakta is not separately explained by Sridhar Swami in the commentary. And the next paragraph, Nanu.
Sorry, Prabhuji, to interrupt. So this all pervasive, what is the Sanskrit word here? I mean, you said
all
it couple of
pervasive
times.
is the vibhutva. Vibhu means all pervading.
Okay,
Vibhutva means the quality of being all pervading.
And there's some Sanskrit word called yavan. That is
Vyapaka
also...
and Vyapya. Vyapaka and Vyapya. Vyapya means suppose you want to bind an object. So the object you want to bind, that is a Vyapya. And the rope which you are going to use to bind that object, that is a Vyapaka. So normally, in order to bind an object, the length of the Vyapaka has to be greater than the length or the circumference of the Vyapya. But in the case of Krishna, when Krishna is the Vyapya, who is all pervading, how can you bind Krishna with any Vyapaka, with any rope, which is the amsha of his own energies? Is it understandable?
Yes, Prabhuji. I just wanted to know, this I understood, but what I was asking you is that there's a word in Sanskrit called yavan or something, which also means all pervasiveness, or there's no word like that. Yavan or something. Does it mean unlimited or something?
Usually, Vibhu is for all pervading. Sarva Vyapya, that which is all pervading. Sarva Vyapya word is used. And then
Prabhu,
the word Vibhu is used.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Huh.
Prabhu, Vibhu we use for unlimited. Anu means infinitesimal and Vibhu means infinite. Like that we use. No, it's very...
Yeah, Vibhu, one of the meaning of the word Vibhu means powerful.
Yes.
But another meaning of the word Vibhu is basically all pervading. So Nyaya Shastra, there are three kinds of parimanas are mentioned, three kinds of measurements. So Paramanu, and then second is Madhyama Parimanam, Paramanu Parimanam, Madhyama Parimanam, and third is Vibhu Parimanam. So Paramanu Parimanam means the measurement of an atom, of the measurement of an anu and a dvayanu. This is a little technical, this one. Basically, Paramanu is the lowest measurement, the measurement of an atom. And the highest measurement, highest parimana is the Vibhu Parimana. That means all pervading. and medium level parimana is the madhyama parimana. So these three parimanas, these three parimanas are mentioned. The Nyaya Shastra, according to Nyaya Shastra, there are 7 padarthas in this world: Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Abhava, and Samavaya. So in the Guna, there are 24 gunas are there. Out of that, one guna is parimana. Parimana means measurement. So measurement is that guna by which we are able to perform different vyavaharas, like, oh, this object has this measurement. This object is having this measurement. So parimana is that quality by which we are able to do these vyavaharas. So there are 3 parimanas: paramanu, madhyama parimana, and vibhu parimana. Vibhu parimana is also called by the word parama mahat. So anyway, vibhu means one of the meaning of the word vibhu means powerful, great. But here the word vibhu means all pervading.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll go to this. We'll go to this next paragraph. Nanu manushya vigrahatve api aparityakta vibhutvam katham matur naspurat. Manushya vigrahatve api, although he is having a human form, aparityakta vibhutvam katham matur na aspurat. Although he is having a human form, but he did not give up the all-pervading nature in that human form. But how is it that Mother Yashoda was not able to perceive that all-pervading nature of Krishna in that human form? How is it that this all-pervading aspect, belonging even to his human form, was not perceived by Mother Yashoda? That is the next question. Because Mother Yashoda did not perceive Krishna's all-pervading aspect present in the human form. And therefore, Shukdev Goswami uses the word Tatra aha Atmajam Matva. Yashoda considered Krishna to be her son. She did not think Krishna to be the supreme absolute truth who has the quality of being all-pervading. Atmajam Matva. Vatsaladi abhida prema rasa visheshasya swabhavoyam. So because of his vatsalya bhava, because of his vatsalya prema, this is the nature of the transcendental love ecstasy that goes by names such as vatsalya rasa or madhurya rasa, etc. And what is the nature of this prema rasa? It covers the knowledge faculty with its own inherent all-encompassing bliss. Yad asau swa ananda purena tasya tadrishatvam prati anubhava paddatim avrunoti iti arthaha. Avrunoti means covering. So when a person is experiencing such intense bliss in the Vatsalya rasa that covers Krishna's Aishwarya. That covers Krishna's Aishwarya here means Krishna's all-pervading aspect. So one may say that these Vrajavasis, like here Mother Yashoda, their love is covered by this, the Krishna's Aishwarya is covered by their love. Is it something inferior? In this world, when somebody's knowledge is covered, that is a sign of tamoguna. The Tamoguna covers one's knowledge. But in the spiritual platform, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's Aishwarya, all-pervading aspect, is covered by Yashoda's Vatsalya, but this is not something inferior. It is something, it is a great ornament. It shows the superior nature of those devotees. So, itam cha atad virya kovidatvam tasya mahatmyam eva tam rajubir baddam api kartus tasya prema rasasya anubhava rupatvat. So what is the meaning? Yashoda's inability to detect Krishna's majestic opulence is indeed glorious. That is why it is mentioned that tasya mahatmyam eva. It is a glory. Atad virya kovidatvam tasya mahatmyam eva. And because it was an anubhava or an external manifestation of inner ecstasy arising out of her permanent loving rasa for Krishna, the very love that made it possible for her to bind him with rope. The very love that made it possible for her to bind him with rope. So because of this Vatsalya prema, tam rajubir baddam api kartus. She was able to bind Krishna. Tasya prema rasasya anubhava rupatvat. That is why Shukadeva Goswami says that taduktam nemam virinchi nabavo nashrir apyanga samshaya prasadam lebire gopi tattat prapya vimuktidat. This is the verse is quoted 10.9.20. So therefore, Shukadeva Goswami glorifies Mother Yashoda's love. Nemam virinchi na bhavo. Neither Brahma, nor Shiva, nor even Lakshmi Devi, Nashrir api anga samshaya, whose abode is on Lord's chest. None of them obtained from Krishna, who is the bestower of liberation. Nemam virinchi nabhavo nashrir apyanga samshaya prasadam lebire gopi yattat prapya vimuktidat. None of them obtained such mercy as obtained by Mother Yashoda, as received by Mother Yashoda. So, in the purport, it is described in detail. Brahma's position is so glorious. Brahma performed such tapasya. Brahma was born directly from the lotus flower emanating from the navel of Krishna. Krishna was so pleased with Brahma, Krishna shook his hands with Brahma, and Krishna expressed his pleasure towards Brahma. That is the glory of Brahma. And Lord Shiva is described as Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. Lord Shiva, that is the glory of Lord Shiva. He is the topmost among the Vaishnavas. And Lakshmi Devi, her glory is that she always resides in the chest of Krishna, chest of Vishnu. Therefore, she is called as Anapayini, one who is never separated from Vishnu. So, although she has such direct personal association, but still Lakshmi Devi cannot relish the Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. She cannot take part in the enchanting sports of Krishna's Vraja Leela. Lakshmi Devi performed austerities to enter the Vrindavan Leela, but she was not rewarded favorably. That is why the Naga Patnis, they prayed that, O Krishna, by whose mercy Kaliya has attained the dust of your lotus feet. Because even Lakshmi Devi, who is so dear to you, she desired to obtain your dust, and for that she performed austerities, giving up all other desires, and she remained fixed in her vows for a long time, but still she was unsuccessful. But then our husband Kalia could get the dust of your lotus feet. How is it? What? It is something causeless mercy. By whose mercy Kalia is able to attain such? So Brahma's position, Shiva's position, Lakshmi Devi's position are all glorious, but still they did not obtain the mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. So let's see how much is there. Okay. Next. Prakritam yata iti anena adokshajam iti anena cha vastuno vyapakatvam mayayatu martyalingatvam ityapi parihritam. So what is the, now he explains the word prakritam yata. So prakritam yata, he says that prakritam yata means Krishna was like an ordinary mortal. And it is also described as adokshajam, beyond sense perception. So the phrases, it's not mentioned that Krishna is ordinary mortal, is like an ordinary mortal, and the phrase adokshajam is beyond the sense perception. These two phrases refute any possibility that in spite of being all-pervading in reality, he may have appeared as a human being by the agency of Maya or illusion. So that is what this line says. Prakritvam yata and adokshajam iti anena cha vastuno vyapakatvam mayayatu martyalingatvam ityapi parigrata. Because this is the explanation of the Advaitavada. They say that the Bhagavan has appeared by the Maya Shakti. The absolute truth, the Brahman is all-pervading, but the Bhagavan aspect is not all-pervading. Bhagavan has appeared because of Brahman coming in contact with the Sattva-guna. But then these two, but this particular theory is refuted by these two words, Prakritam Yata and Adokshajam. Because Prakritam Yata and Adokshajam. These two words refute any possibility that in spite of being all-pervading in reality, he may have appeared as a human being by the agency of Maya. So sometimes yaddi tarka gocharo bhavati tatra eva kadachid asambhava riti darshanena sa abhyupagamyate. What is the meaning? Sometimes in the realm of material logic, a paradox occurs that appears to defy the laws of nature or that appears to defy the conventional experiences. Such instances are generally taken as the play of Maya. So sometimes we see certain things in this world which defy the conventional experience. They are considered as a play of Maya. Yattu swatayeva tat atitam tatra tat swikritir ativa murkata. So what is the meaning? But to reduce phenomena that are naturally beyond logic. Swatayeva tat atita, that are naturally beyond logic, to mere products of Maya is gross foolishness. Swatayeva tat atitam. So here the absolute truth is tat aditam. That means tad here refers to tarka. Tad aditam means tarka atitam, which is beyond logic. But still, if you say that that which is beyond logic, that which is beyond the material sense perception, but he has appeared by coming in contact with the Maya. If you say like that, that is nothing but the ativa murkata. It is nothing but utter foolishness. And then he gives an example for this foolishness. Yata Badava namno vakner jalanidhi madhyayeva Dedipya manatayam Aindra Jalikata Swikaranam. So there is a Agni called as Badava Naam ka ek Agni. It's called as Vadava or Badava. So there is an volcano called as Badava. And this Badava Agni is present within the ocean water. There's a description of this also in the Mahabharata in connection with the story of, I think, Aurva Rishi. There's the story. There also description comes. So this Badava volcano is present within the ocean, and there is description of this in the Shastra. But if a person says that this Badava fire is nothing but an illusion, if a person says that this Badava fire is nothing but an illusion, then he's foolish. Because this Badava fire, although you are not able to perceive this Badava volcano, but it is described in the Shastra. Just as it is foolish to consider as illusion the brilliance of the fire emanating from the undersea volcano, which is displayed within the ocean water. So it is described in the Shastra about this Badava ocean, but still if you say that this Badava volcano is nothing but an illusion, if you say like that, that means you are not having faith in the Shastra, which gives information about this Badava volcano. So similarly, when the Shastra is clearly saying that is Adokshaja, is beyond the sense perception, but if you say that this all-pervading Brahman, he appears as a human being by contact with the Maya. If you say like that, it is nothing but the utter foolishness. So Vedas also declare Arva Shrutischa Arvag Deva Asya Visarjanena Ata Ko Veda Yata Ababuva. The Vedas also say that the gods emanated from him, but who knows his origin? Nobody knows his origin. So 1 minute. Just take this next paragraph and then end. Kimcha yad gatam bandhanam tasya shri vigrahasya eva vyapakatvam vivakshitam yat tadoho samanadi karanyat tasyas tatra kovidatvo upapadanatvacha. So in this paragraph, Jiva Goswami is giving another argument. What is the argument? Shukdev Goswami's intention is to assert that the very same body that was bound is all pervading. Because some philosophers, they say that all pervading, this quality belongs to the featureless Brahman. This quality does not belong to the Bhagavan. Bhagavan appears by the Brahman coming in contact with the Maya Shakti. But then Shukdev Goswami is saying that the very same body which was bound is all pervading. Because because Shukdev Goswami is using the relative pronouns yasya and ya. Since the relative pronouns yasya and ya denote the same object as their co-relatives, tasya tat. So you see that when in a shloka, when you are using the word yasya or yada, usually the word yada and tada comes. Yata, Tata. All these are like pairs of the words. So, Yada, Tada. That means Yada, Yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati parata. Tadatmanam, Yada, Yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there is a dharma glani, tada at that time appear. So when you say the word tada, it refers the same time which is described by the word yada. Or when you the word yada refers to the same time which is described by the word tada. So similarly, yasya will refer to the same object described by the word tasya. Yasya means whose. Tasya means his. Similarly, yaha and tat. Yaha will refer to the same object described by the correlatives pronoun, that is tat. So Shukdev Goswami is using in this shlokas the person who was bound by Mother Yashoda. That same person is described by the word, described by the first shloka. That is Nachantarna Bahir Yasya. Nachantarna Bahir Yasya na Purvam Napi Chaparam. Purvaparam Bahichantar Jagatoya Jagacheha. So the word Yasya, which is described in the first shloka, whatever is describing that, the same person is described Tam Matvatmajam Avyaktam. And the same person was bound by Mother Yashoda. So it is not that the all-pervading object was something and Mother Yashoda bound some other person who was not all-pervading. No, Mother Yashoda bound the same person who is all-pervading. That is what Shukdev Goswami is trying to, Jiva Goswami is trying to point out. He says that, moreover, Shukdev Goswami's intention is to assert that the very same body that was bound is all-pervading. Since the relative pronouns yasya and ya denote the same object as their correlatives, tasya tat, in the verses, as they all refer to the form of Krishna. And further proof is that tatra vigrahatvam parichinnayam eva sambhavati kara charanadi akara sanniveshat. This is also evidence from the fact that Shukdev Goswami points out that Mother Yashoda's lack of capacity to recognize this all-pervading aspect in the very same body. Mother Yashoda, if Mother Yashoda had recognized Krishna's all-pervading aspect, then Mother Yashoda would not have even made an attempt to bind Krishna. Because Mother Yashoda did not recognize the all-pervading aspect, therefore she was repeatedly putting effort to bind Krishna. So the fact that Mother Yashoda was putting effort to bind Krishna, that means that she did not recognize the Krishna's all-pervading feature. This is also another proof. And tatra vigrahatvam tasyas tatra akovidatva upapadanatvacha. Mother Yashoda did not perceive that all-pervading aspect of Krishna. Then tatra vigrahatvam parichinnayam eva sambhavati kara charanadi akara sanniveshat. So therefore, only a limited object can have a form. Because a form is a patterned arrangement of limbs such as hands and legs. So vigraha means there will be kara, charana, akara, sannivesha. Tasmad asya eva tasmin parichinnatvam vibhutvam cha yugapad eva moola siddhanta eva paraspara virodhi shakti shata nidanatvam tasya darshitam. Drishyatepi loke tridoshagna mahaushadinanam tadrishatvam. So what is the meaning? Therefore, the feature of being limited, and that of being all pervasive, both exist in Krishna simultaneously. These are actually mutually contradictory things. Feature of being limited at the same time being all pervading. It is actually contradictory thing. But it has already been demonstrated as an axiomatic truth. What is as an axiomatic truth? That Bhagavan is the seat of hundreds of mutually contradictory energies. Mula Siddhanta eva paraspara virodi shakti shata nidanatvam tasya darshitam. It has been already been proved that is the reservoir of hundreds of mutually contradictory energies. An example for this is that even in this world we see that in the realm of Ayurvedic verbs, it is experienced even in the material world, in the realm of Ayurvedic herbs that have the power to subdue opposing doshas simultaneously. There's kapha, vata, pitta. So there are certain Ayurvedic herbs, they have the power to subdue opposing dosha simultaneously. So opposing doshas. So he's giving an example how Krishna is the reservoir of hundreds of mutually contradictory energies. Like even we see in this material realm also, there are like Ayurvedic herbs which actually subdue the opposing doshas. And then further, some more quotations are given, which we'll see in the next class. Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo. The quotations are given. Maybe I don't want to rush through it, but I will send the whatever we covered today. I will send the translation and the commentary. We can revise it, and then we'll complete this Anucheda in the next class, and then we'll further go ahead to the 32nd Anucheda. If anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, so Prabhuji, I missed the Sanskrit names of 4 types of abhava. So one was prag abhava, that is, it has an end, right? Has no beginning, but it has an end. Second is which has a beginning but no end. So, so that one was what? What is the Sanskrit meaning? What is the Sanskrit term?
Yeah. Pragabhava, Pratyagabhava, Anitya and Nitya. These are the 4 objects actually. So
Anitya,
Pragabhava. Pragabhava means that which has no beginning but has an end.
Right.
Basically, we get the example of conditioned living entities. Their ignorance has no beginning. But when they take to bhakti, it comes to an end. Pratyagabhava is, first is Pragabhava, second is Pradvamsabhava. Pradvamsabhava means that which has a beginning but no end. Liberated life has a beginning. When a person starts bhakti, the liberated life begins. But it has no end. Once a person gets liberated, once a person goes to Vaikuntha, one will never fall from Vaikuntha. It has no end. It is endless. So this is the Pradvamsa Bhava. And third is the Nitya. Nitya means that which has no beginning and no end. And fourth is the Anitya, that which has both beginning and an end. These are the 4 kinds of objects. Actually, this Nitya Anitya also, there is, I think, particular term in relation to Abhava. I'll find out and tell you. Maybe Nyonya Bhava, Pratyeka Bhava, I'll have to just check that. But the technical terms are Prag Abhava, Pradvamsa Bhava, Nitya and Anitya. When Krishna says that Natvevaham Jatunasam Natvam Neme Janadipa Nachaivana Bhavishyama Sarve Vayamata Param. So he's basically saying that the Atma is Nitya. It has no beginning and no end. The past will continue to exist. The future also will continue to exist. So Atma is Nitya.
And when yourself was discussing about Mother Yashoda's inability to detect the majestic feature of the Lord. So yeah, so then in the last class you had mentioned about this Turiya, how Sankarshan's body is described as Tamsi Murti, but in the same shloka another word is used, that is Turiya. So just trying to, I don't know if this question is relevant or it is just out of the, so that means this stage would be higher than Turiya, right?
Which
Mother Yashoda's stage.
So
It will
yeah,
be
Turiya
higher.
means basically, Turiya means a person is in constantly, one's consciousness is in constantly absorbed in Krishna. So Turiya, so Jagrati, Swapna, Sushupti and Turiya. So Turiya is the state of Samadhi where the individual consciousness, the living entity, is completely absorbed in the Supreme. So in the Turiya, there are different gradations from the point of view of Rasa. So Turiya basically refers to the living entity is completely absorbed in the Supreme Lord. It can be, Turiya can also refer to the Sayujya Mukti also. A person is absorbed in the impersonal absolute truth. Or Turiya can refer to a person is absorbed in the personal absolute truth. When a person is absorbed in the personal absolute truth, there are various gradations on the platform of Turiya, which is like somebody is absorbed in the Narayana form, the Aishwarya mood, and somebody is absorbed in the Madhurya aspect of the Lord, in that Shanta, Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakya, Madhurya, those things. Just like when Dhruva Maharaj begins his prayer, the Bhagavatam, Yonta Pravishya Mamavacha Imam Prasuptams Sanjeevayat Akila Shakti Daraswadamna Anyamscha Hatta Charana Shravanatvagadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. Dhruva Maharaj is saying that till now all my senses were sleeping, but today all my senses have been awakened. So what he is saying is that I have come to the Turiya stage. All my senses have been awakened. That means all my senses are completely focused on you.
So that means that Turiya is the last stage. And what I was understanding is that stage higher than Turiya is what Mother Yashoda is experiencing now. So
Turiya refers to, general point is that one's consciousness is absorbed in the spiritual realm. It can be the impersonal absolute truth, or it can be the personality of God. Both come under the category of Turiya. And within that, when a person is absorbed the personal absolute truth, it can be various gradations. Can be in the Vaikuntha mood, the Avan reverence, or it can be in the Madhurya mood, or Ayodhya, Dwaraka, Vrindavan mood. Correct.
thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, yes. Your voice got.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Now it is coming.
Yes.
Jagacchaya iti atra yasya karanasya vyatirekena idishasya jagatto vyatirekena. This, Prabhu, I could not get this statement. What it is trying to say?
Jagacchaya iti atra yasya karanasya vyatirekena karyasya jagato vyatirekasyaaditi. So Jagatchaya, this statement shows that Yasya Karanasya, he is the cause of the Yasya Karanasya. That means the cause of this universe is Krishna only. Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena. Karyasya Jagato Vyatirekasya. Yasya Karanasya, that means without Krishna, who is the cause of this universe, Karyasya, Karya is the Jagat. Karyasya Jagato Vyatirekasya. Without Krishna, who is the cause of the universe, the Karya Jagat cannot exist only. That is how I understand.
Prabhu, here Yasya Karanasya, Yasya refers to Jagat.
Yasya
Jagatasya.
refers to Krishna.
Yasya refers to Krishna.
Hmm.
So his Karan, no, Yasya Karanasya. There will be no Karan for him, no? Yasya
No.
Karanasya
No, he is
Vyatirekena.
the cause of the universe. Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena.
So Yasya means will refer to Jagat then, no?
Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena. Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena. Karyasya Jagato Vyatirekasya. Yeah, Yasya refers to Jagat. Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena. That means without the cause of this universe, without the cause of the universe, which is actually Krishna, Karyasya Jagataha Vyatirekasya. The Karya, which is the Jagat, cannot it cannot exist. That is how it is explained in the. If I
So then
read
in
the
both cases, then in both the cases Jagat is coming. If we say Karyasya Jagataha, then here also Jagat and Yasya Karanasya again Jagat only we are saying. Actually, what it is trying to establish, I mean, with this paragraph, what it is trying to say?
it means that Krishna is the cause of the cosmos. Without him, the effect in the form of the cosmos cannot exist. That means the cosmos is non-different from him, being his energy. So then how could it be possible to bind Krishna with a rope, which is nothing more than the portion of his energies. So what is being trying to, what Jiva Goswami is saying is that, see, Krishna is the cause of the universe. Yasya Karanasya Vyatirekena. Krishna is the cause of the universe. And without Krishna, Karyasya Jagataka Vyatirekasya. Without Krishna, the effect, which is the Karya, which is the Jagat, which cannot exist. So therefore, Tad Ananyasya. Therefore, according to the concept that effect is non-different from the cause, so in one sense, Krishna is non-different from the universe. Because this universe is nothing but Krishna's energy. Jagataha tat shaktya eva. So this universe is nothing but Krishna's energy. So therefore, this universe is non-different from Krishna. So, but this rope is nothing but one small, insignificant portion within the universe. This rope is nothing but the tad amshamsha rupaya. It is nothing but the amsha of his energy, which is the universe. So how can that amsha of the amsha, that rope can bind Krishna? Just like how can the flame burn the source, the fire? That is a.
Prabhu, and then this line, the last, it was described that in the human form, I mean Krishna in the human form, it's Sarva Vyapak, right?
Yes.
Yes. We were so initially Jiva Goswami wrote that how, I mean, Sridhar Swami was saying that how he could be bound. It was said that it was Martya Lingam, that is why. So then is it not contradicting? Here we are saying that because even in Martya Linga he is Vyapak, Sarva Vyapak. Yashoda ma did not understand his Sarva Vyapakta. But initially he said that because of Martya Linga, he could be tied.
Hmm.
So is it not contradicting, like?
No. See, how could he be bound? First he says that tam martyalingam ityadav. He's explaining that starting from the second shloka, tam martyalingam. So he says that if he is sarva vyapaka, how can he be bound? Because nahi brahmanda golakadikam api kachit badnati. Even the shell of the universe cannot be bound by anything. So how can Krishna, who is sarva vyapaka, how can he be bound? So further it is said that martyalingam, because he is in the form of a human, he is in the human form, therefore he could be bound. And then, but then if you are saying he is having a human form, then how can he be sarva vyapaka? How can he be sarva vyapaka? So therefore he says that, therefore the key word is adokshaja.
Oh, even though he is Sarva Vyapak, it is beyond our sense perception.
In the human form he is sarva vyapaka. How can it be possible? That is because he is adokshaja. We are not able to perceive how he is sarva vyapaka in the human form, because he has the quality of adokshaja.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
Adokshaja means
One who cannot be perceived with our senses, one who cannot be perceived with our mind, with the logic.
Adha Akshaja.
Adokshaja means so the Sanskrit meaning is that adaha kritam indriyajam jnanam yena tam sarvendriya jnanagocharam pratyakshadi pramaneir achintya swarupam ityartha. So what is the meaning? In regard that being in regard to whom knowledge derived from sense perception is rendered useless. That is to say, he is imperceptible to all sensory knowledge. His form is inconceivable by direct perception and other such means. Therefore, despite his human form, he is certainly all-pervading.
Prabhu, in this line, Adokshajam, Adha Kritam Indriya, this Sarvendriya Jnana, it is Agochara, right? Agocharam.
Sarvendriya Jnana
Agocharam, right?
Agocharam. Yeah, yes. Jnana Agocharam. Because of Sandhi, it is coming as Jnana Agocharam.
Yes.
Gocharam.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Prabhuji, can you just please repeat that in spite of him being in the material body, he's still adhoksaja, mean because of his energies?
No.
Unlimited energy.
The point is that so Krishna is all-pervading, it is described. Then how can the all-pervading be bound? Because he has assumed a human form. Now the question is that if he is having a human form, then how can he be all-pervading? Because any human form we have experienced in this world, every human form has a limitation. How can a human form be all-pervading? So therefore, it is described that Krishna as a human form is all-pervading because he is adokshaja. He is beyond our sensory perception. By our sense perception, we are not able to perceive how he is all-pervading in his human form. That is the answer.
Yeah, because in the human form, he had all blood, he was bleeding and he was sweating and all that stuff. So, and he has like he left the dead body also. So, because we cannot see the other dimension, our senses cannot see the other dimension. That's
Yes.
adoksaja. So, we can just see a particular dimension. Okay.
we tend to superimpose our experience in this world to Krishna. That is a deep-rooted conditioning, actually. Atmavan manyate jagat. Like we tend to superimpose our experience. I gave that example many times. Like cow was caught in a fire, and then somehow it escaped from that fire. But after that incident, whenever the cow would see a red color, it would start running from that place, thinking that there is a fire. Because the cow is superimposing that one experience of being caught in the fire, and the fire was red in color. And then whenever it started seeing the red, it thinks that there is a fire and it starts running. So similarly, we tend to superimpose. When we see in the Kurukshetra battle, Krishna was wounded by the arrows released by Bhishma. There was blood was coming out of his body. Okay. By that we may think that Krishna's body is also like made of flesh, bones, and marrow. And because the Puranas describe that Krishna left behind a mortal body, we may think Krishna's body is also like material. But actually, fact is, Bhagavatam describes Krishna went in a self-same body to the spiritual world. And whatever we see in the Kurukshetra battle, Krishna was wounded. So Krishna is, whenever he performs pastimes, he performs pastimes exactly like a human being. That is the Leela. He, by performing pastimes like a human being, getting wounded by the arrows. So by that, he's making the living entities absorb in that Leela. So we should not think that, we should not superimpose our experience on Krishna's body.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, so can also we say that here Achintya Shakti also plays a part?
Yeah, exactly. Achintya Shakti, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is why we said that Achintya Shakti will also describe next time, because Krishna is the source of mutually contradictory energies. By his Achintya Shakti, he is all pervading, at the same time he is having a form. Okay.
Prabhu, you said that. Can you please repeat that? He left. He left a mortal body when he left. When he left for the spiritual world. Then how come? I mean, but he
It
went
is
in
described in the
himself.
Puranas like that. So last week we discussed in detail this point. Different Puranas describe that Krishna left behind a mortal body, and that mortal body was cremated by Arjuna. So some Puranas describe like that, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the topmost Pramana, in that it is described that Krishna went to the spiritual world in the self-same body. He did not leave behind a mortal body. He went to the self-same body. But then why do the other Puranas describe like that? Because other Puranas are they are in Tamoguna and Rajoguna. They are meant for people in Rajoguna and Tamoguna to gradually elevate them. So the other Puranas, they glorify other devatas as supreme, because there are many people who are in Rajoguna and Tamoguna. They are not ready to understand. They are not in a level to appreciate the Nirguna reality, the position of Vishnu and Krishna. So therefore, in order to gradually elevate them, sometimes Krishna's position is minimized in the other Puranas by saying that Krishna left behind a mortal body, and then other devatas are glorified. And then another reason is that such descriptions are there in the other Puranas in order to inspire in the minds of people in Rajoguna and Tamoguna some sense of detachment, some sense of vairagya. So Krishna, who performed such superhuman acts, even he actually had to leave behind the body. In that way, it is trying to make them develop some sense of vairagya towards the body and the material world. That is another reason. So those statements which are there in the Tamoguna Shastras and Rajoguna Shastras, they are meant for the gradual elevation, and such indirect description comes under the category of Parokshavada. Parokshavada means indirect description. And this Parokshavada, Krishna says to Uddhava in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, I am also pleased by the Parokshavada. Parokshavada
Okay.
means basically it is something like giving the medicine by putting inside the sweet. If a mother puts the medicine inside the sweet and gives it to the child, the child is not ready for the direct medicine, which is bitter in nature. The people in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they are not ready for the direct Krishna consciousness. They are not ready to assimilate the Nirguna reality, the transcendental reality. So therefore, in order to give them, elevate them gradually, medicine is put inside the sweet. That means those scriptures also contain some glorification of Vishnu. At the same time, they glorify other devatas. By following that, they gradually progress. Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
like Prabhu, like the Vritrasura is pastime is also described in many Puranas, but there Indra is glorified.
Yes.
But in this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is shown how Vritrasura is great
Yes.
and he is the winner. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Exactly. Okay.
And Nirguna, Krishna's Nirguna reality, Krishna or Vishnu's Nirguna reality means they are
transcendental, beyond the three gunas.
Beyond the three gunas. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Stop here.
Okay,
Vandana
Prabhuji.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yes, Radhika Vallabh Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.